Good evening and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It's very special when we can come together in a forum other than a class in our yoga shorts and t-shirts and celebrate our community. It's a privilege to host tonight, and I really thank you for coming along. Tonight we have the children from the children's class who are going to put on the story of sage Yajnavalkya. After that, we will be quizzing you for a chance to win some prizes, some questions that I'm sure you know the answer to because you've been coming to yoga class. And after that, we'll be talking to some students that attend classes here. And whilst there's a formality in the air, I really hope that tonight is a fair where if you have something you want to say or ask a question, that you don't feel that you can't. So please raise your hand if there's something you'd like to share. So it's more of a gathering rather than a show. But let's begin with our story of Yagnavalkya. Now, we just have to get the microphones on the children, and then we'll start. Sage Yagnavalkya was an accomplished or respected student, but he makes a mistake. And tonight is the story of his mistake and what happens when he makes that mistake on the spiritual path. The videos we'll be seeing are some clips from the Institute. I think when you come to classes here, you hear these words, the Institute, Pune, the medical class. So that will be our theme for tonight. Sharing with you what is the Institute, showing you on screen the Institute. It is the actual headquarters of Iyengar Yoga, where the Iyengar family both live and teach. In the same compound, they have their family home, and then they have the yoga school in a separate building, but with only this much space between the two buildings. The medical class in Pune is where when someone has an ailment, an illness, a health condition, they can go and they can practice yoga. Here, we don't call it the medical class, we call it specific needs. And so it's very similar to what you'll see here when we see the videos of the medical class. Who is Guruji? Guruji BKS Iyengar, who brought us the teachings in this form. So over different ages and time, cultures change, language changes, and so teaching also has to be transmitted in a way that it can be received. So whilst Guruji created something special, unique, you could say, in how he packaged, I don't know if packaged is the right word, but how he constructed a system for us to learn, whilst it's quite unique, what he didn't do was reject any of the principles and values of the yoga teaching. And it's considered that that is what has to happen as time flows so that the teaching stays alive. So as a student, what becomes quite important is to always look at the bigger perspective. not to drill down so much on the little details and say, oh, this is like this here, it's like that there. What's most important is the underlying principles are being followed and transmitted. So Guruji's system includes props. That's so the teaching can be transmitted to a society where we don't have a lot of time to devote on getting our body limber and able to feel the benefits. But with the prop, even someone who's spending 1 or 2 hours a week can get a strong dose of benefit from the poses. Now, let's see if the children are ready. Are you ready? Bihan will be our narrator for tonight.
Our story begins in Vedic India. Sage Yajnavalkya was a brilliant pupil of Sage Vaishnavi.
And then maybe let's speak. Wow.
Every day, Sage Vaishnavi sends purified water to the king. Let's chant only 3 times to purify this water. When Yagnavalkya arrived at the palace, the king was busy with worldly affairs and ignored her. That's so disrespectful. He doesn't need this purified water. And it would go in this yard house of foot. Lo and behold, green leaves sprouted from the dry wood.
Trees.
Small piece of dried wood. So many trees and greenery have sprouted. I think I made an error. I need to bring Yagnavalkya back and apologize. He wants to apologize. So there, I'm going back. Forgive me for what he did. I taught you that yoga was about Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, and Visheshana. Maitri is friendship. Karuna is compassion. Mudita is being joyful. Having an inner mind and not seeking revenge. spiritually evolve, your attitude should be, if it weren't for the grace of God, I might also be like that king. No way.
Let's repeat that line with the microphone. Yeah, sure. Can you repeat the line with the microphone?
In that case, you don't deserve the knowledge. Someone who's spiritually evolved, your attitude should be, if it weren't for the grace of God, I might also be like that king. No way. I'm still not going back to that king. Serve him right. In that case, you don't deserve the knowledge. I demand that you return all the knowledge that you have been given. Guru Yajnavalkya had no other choice. The other students see that value of that knowledge and do not want to leave it lying on the ground. So they took the form of birds to scoop it up. But we have the eagle here. We have the crane and the crow. These are the eagle. Someone who wanted to be a lifelong learner, although we no longer had a good teacher, looked to the sun.
Can we have the good microphone?
Every morning he saluted the sun, which is called Surya Namaskar.
You repeat that.
Yagnavalkya left the yoga school. Someone who wanted to be a lifelong learner, although he no longer had a human teacher, looked to the sun for learning. Every morning he saluted the sun, which is called Surya Namaskar.
So in the story, Sage Yajnavalkya spits out all the knowledge, and the students at the school, recognizing the value of that knowledge, become partridge birds and eat up that knowledge. Because knowledge is considered the highest in life, one must aspire to acquire knowledge. Later, he did penance. He didn't have a teacher because he rejected the instruction of the teacher. But he looked to nature for learning, and that's the sun. And the children will show the sun's salutations. Later, he came to write a very important text. It's called the White Yajurveda. Some of you would know the Shukla Yajurveda, the White Yajurveda. And what they say was particularly relevant about Yagnavalkya as a student is he didn't just understand the knowledge mentally, but he experienced, emotionally he understood what was behind the teaching. And that's what Guruji always wanted us as well to be as students, not sort of like dry academic students who looked at the text and merely memorized the words, but he wanted us to understand them. And for Guruji's teaching, the way to understand is through experience. And you see, when you do the poses, you have an experience in that moment. And it's about how you culture your practice to give you the experiences, the imprints that are going to change how you think, how you feel, how you see the world. I like to read a lot about how the brain works. In neuroscience, they say the brain loves a non-negotiable rule. So what's easiest for the brain is just to have these fixed notions. This is how it should be. This is what I like to eat. This is my life. This is the right way. But the point of doing your yoga practice is to always challenge your brain. And you do that by experiencing the poses. It's because then you can really see your responses and your reactions. Like you can be at home reading a book and read something, and you could think, yeah, I agree with it, or I don't agree with it. But it's only when you have to experience some discomfort or something fearful, or you have to experience disappointment of not getting a posture when everyone else is getting a posture, that's when you really have to face those imprints in the mind. Or when you get sick and you could do a pose and now you can't do a pose, when you're starting to age and you could do the poses when you were younger and now you can't do the poses. So you only face that by jumping into the pool of yoga. Okay, now let us salute the sun. Good children, that was an enthralling performance from all of you. And we wish we could do the poses as well as you all do. Thank you.